Hey, what's going on, guys? Your workout stand today. I hope you're enjoying this hot as nutsacks weather we're in right now. Good Lord, it's 90 degrees. That's mean it's gotta be a good 95 to 100 in this goddamn attic. Good Lord, I can't wait to get out of here. Anyway, we got another swap. Let's talk about it. This week in Destiny, we're getting ready for our next developer stream. These things take time, so we're also telling you all about one of the biggest systematic changes we're introducing at Edge of Fate. It's a topic that you might not have heard about yet, so get ready for it, and the rest of our weekly topics, of course. Join us on Tuesday, June 24th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time as we give an in-depth look at the Edge of Fate. We'll have the dev team on the floor ready to share more details about our Armor 3.0 and the new ability stat system, and to show you some more weapons, more new weapons, and more. Everyone watching our developer stream out on the Bungie Twitch channel will for at least 15 minutes worth of Bungie ID linked will earn a new emblem. Melee damage is changing in Edge of Fate. Hello there, this is the Destiny 2 Sandbox team ready to talk to you about one of the most significant systematic overhauls coming to the Edge of Fate. Additive melee damage stacking. The short version is almost all sources of increased melee damage are buffed. All sources of increased melee damage stack at full potency in PvE, and we're using additive damage increase cancellation or calculation for melee damage. How melee damage worked in the past. Currently, in D2, most sources of increased damage in Destiny 2 are multiplicative. Two hypothetical 50% damage increases, a 1.5 increase in damage, are multiplied together for a total of 125 2.25x damage increase. This approach to damage increases with some problems. For one, the more damage increases effect applied in the time, the more powerful they all became, which means that the best builds and strategies can start to revolve around simply having as many buffs as possible. This is a pattern we saw in Destiny 2 prior to the mutually exclusive empowering damage buff system for weapons. Additionally, balancing the games become more and more difficult, and the more sources of increased damage we add. We do not want to have to choose between boss being one shot by players who are stacking as many buffs as possible, or bosses feeling like a bullet sponge to players who are not. How melee damage will work now. When the Edge of Fate is released on July 15th, melee damage increase from Destiny 2 will be additive. That means two hypothetical 50% damage increases will be added together for a total of 100% damage increase. Now, this does result in lower damage ceiling for melee abilities, and it's unlikely that most bosses will ever be one shot with melees going forward, but because we do not need to worry about someone stacking these melee buffs and trivializing more of the content in the game, we can do two very cool things. We're buffing almost all effects that increase melee damage, some of them by double the damage they do now. In PvE, melee damage increasing effects always stack to a full value if applicable. Our goal with these changes is to make it much easier to create a personalized build that works the way you want. Many potential combinations of melee abilities and build crafting items are now much stronger than they were. We are very excited to see what melee builds y'all cook up in Edge of Fate with these new changes. Boys, BONK is back. BONK is back on the menu. This is a systematic buff to Titans. Let's go! Let's go! BONK is back! Anyway, in the new system, every effect that increases melee damage has been converted to use additive damage stacking. Every item that has been changed as part of this has been listed below, with a single exception. The new melee stat introduced in R.point 3.0 increases the damage of melee abilities when going over 100 points at an extra 30% at 200 stat. Systematic updates. In the new system, every effect that increases melee damage has been converted to use additive damage stacking. Every item that has been changed as part of this has been listed below, with a single exception. The new melee stat introduced in Armor 3.0 increases the damage of melee abilities when going over 100 points, up to an extra 30% at 200 stat. The damage bonus provided by this stat is considered to be an increase to the base damage of a player's melee attacks and abilities, and is multiplicative with other damage increases. In short, if you're putting together a melee build, you want to get your melee stat as high as possible. Additionally, melee damage no longer scales scorch and ignition damage generated by melee attacks. No! The logic behind this change is similar to the logic behind the underlying jolt damage scaling changes we made a while back. We think it's healthier for elemental verbs to have a consistent effect regardless of the source that applied them. We have opted for more targeted change here. Then Incinerator, Snap, and Consecration Slam remain powerful options, both as centerpiece abilities and melee focused builds as potent and damage focused tools in other builds. So I need to see, because since I'm pretty sure most of the damage we're getting comes from the ignition on a Consecration Slam Jam, I'm interested to see if this extra damage bonuses we're getting will make up for the damage we're losing for consecration and ignitions not being multiplied by melee, the melee thing. So we'll see. About glaives. As part of our melee overhaul, we are revisiting the role of glaives in the sandbox. We would like glaives to find more permanent home in melee focus builds when they provide a defensive tool to help you close in on your target and faster and more potent unpowered melee abilities than guardians would have otherwise. That's right, glaive melee is considered an unpowered melee in the Edge of Fate. Anything that increases that strength of unpowered melee abilities will now increase the strength of glaive melee, including the melee stat. This does come at a cost. While glaives have a much clearer role and have a higher damage ceiling, we need to reduce their base melee damage in PvE to bring it more in line with the unpowered melee attack. You don't have to do that. No, you don't. But even after these changes, glaive melee has a much stronger damage per second output when unpowered melee attacks do. In short, if your build relies on unpowered melee damage, glaives would be the best way to increase your unpowered melee DPS even further. I don't know, man. I don't think you need to do that, but we'll see. Glaive melee is now considered to be a type of unpowered melee ability. They now receive melee damage increase at full potency in all cases when unpowered melee ability would, including the damage increase from Synthos, Knockout, Offensive Bulwark, Combination Blow, Spark of Feedback, Worm God, Banner of War, and Stylus Executioner. Glaive melee now triggers all effects that are triggered with any melee ability. They will no longer benefit from some of the weapon damage bonuses such as Radiant, and is no longer weapon damage. Damn. Effects that modify the behavior of a basic melee attack such as Titan, Aspect, Knockout that changes the basic melee attack from kinetic to arc will not affect the behavior of the glaive. Sag. Glaive melee damage in PvE has been adjusted to compensate for the increased access to melee damage increasing effects. Glaive melee damage against miters and mages have been reduced by 40%. Glaive melee damage against champions and many bosses have been reduced by 28.5%. Glaive melee damage against bosses and vehicles have been reduced by 50%. Okay, these are some big nerfs. But if we're all correct here, they're saying that this is going to be a big buff because of the melee changes. But does that mean that if you just don't build into a melee at all, glaives are useless now? So say you like glaives, but you didn't use melees at all. Like say it wasn't a melee build, but you just liked using glaives. Does that mean the melee on a glaive is useless? And the only thing you have access to is the shooting part of it in the shield? That kind of sucks, but we'll see. Below is a list of changes we have made to abilities, exotic armor pieces, and weapons perks so that you can shine in the new system. It's such a weird sentence. Be mindful that the list does not cover all sandbox tuning plans for Legend of Fate, just the melee focused ones. We are covering exotic armor changes in the section below. We'll share everything about weapons abilities in the future TWIP. Okay, I'm gonna read this. I'm looking forward because they was talking mighty high about that. They was talking mighty high about what the freak was that bow again? About the freaking Spire bow. How it was gonna be. The hierarchy of needs. They're talking so high about hierarchy needs. Saying hierarchy needs is going to be insane in these new patches. I need to see it myself, man. See it myself. Prismatic, Facet of Courage. Damage and bonus increased from 10% to 50% in PvE. Spark of Feedback. PvE melee damage bonus increased from 75 to 100% PvE. Now works with glaive melee at full effect. PvE melee damage bonus is no longer decreased when using Syntheseps, Liar's Handshakes, Knockout, Worm God Caress, 1-2 Punch, and Winter's Guile. Thank you. Or Winter's Guile. Titan, Roaring Flames, maximum PvE melee damage bonus increased from 73 to 200%. BONK is back. BONK is back. As a roll of Roaring Flames increases solar ability damage, and the glaive melee And glaive melee is always. We have. I think that means as always. We have opted to follow the rules as written for this one for now, so Roaring Flame does not scale glaive melee damage. This makes sense. Melee damage bonuses is no longer decreased when used with Peregrine Greaves, Worm God Crest, 1-2 Punch, and Synthos. Okay, one thing I have to question here is was these Roaring Flame buffs and these melee buffs in the build that they played when they went to Bungie? Because I'm excited for this because these numbers look huge on paper for BONK, but that BONK was not hitting for nothing during those freaking gameplay we saw for that new exciting exotic. I'm just saying. We'll see though. Knockout. PvE uncharged melee damage bonus increased from 100 to 160. PvE charged melee bonus increased from 50 to 160. Increased melee damage now works with glaive and melee at full effect. Offensive bulwark. PvE melee damage bonus increased from 100 to 160. Increased melee damage now works with glaive and melee at full effect. Melee damage is no longer decreased when using sensos. Banner of War. Melee damage bonus for user and allies increased from 40 to 100%. Melee damage bonus is no longer decreased when using Worm God, Synthos, or Glaive melee. The damage bonus provided to Blade Fury's melee attack is unchanged. Okay. Hunter, let's see what you got. Stylish Executioner. PvE melee damage bonus increased from 200 to 300%. Now it works with Glaive melee at full effect. This works with every melee ability if the ability makes contact while you're leaving invisibility. In other words, projectile melees like Threaded Spike will benefit from the damage increase if you use it at point blank. Why? Is it only at point blank? Weird. Combo Blow. Maximum PvE damage increased from 309 to 400%. Good lord, you roly-poly hunters. Dog. 400%. I'm assuming we're gonna get some liar handshake buffs. Y'all freaking roly-poly and Visa Freeze freaking ignition hunters about to go insane. Good lord. Increased melee damage bonus now works with the glaive and melee at full effect. This works with Ascension and PvE at full effect. Now works with grapple melee and PvE at full effect. Hunter, Arthur's Embrace. PvE weighted throwing knife damage bonus increased from 200 to 300. That's a good one. Liar's Handshake. PvE basic melee ability and arc melee damage increased from 200 to 400%. Ophidia's Faith. Maximum PvE knife damage increased from 100 to 200%. That's nice. Triton Vice. They need to juice this now, bro. Glaive melee increased from 100 to 200. I need it to be 300. Triton Vice is garbage. Tron trash. Big booty butt cheeks. Nobody cares about it. We'll see though. See if these glaive changes. Heart of Inmost Light. Maximum PvE damage bonus increased from 20 to 50%. Keep in mind this is Heart of Inmost Light original because the class item does not boost the damage of the ability. It just gives you charge. Now increases the damage of unpowered and glaive melee abilities. Peregrine Greaves. The shoulder charge ability impact damage bonus against non-champion, non-tormentor, and non-mini-burst targets have been increased to 300. Sorry. The shoulder charge ability impact damage bonus against non-champion, non-tormentor, and non-mini-burst targets increased from 363% to 400%. Syntheseps and Spirit of the Syntheseps. Melee damage bonus is unchanged from 165%. That sucks. Wish you guys had a buff for Synthos as well. I understand it's pretty strong though. Melee damage bonus is no longer decreased when using Combo Blow, Stylish Executioner, and a Glaive melee. Okay. He patched that. They fixed that because that was a nerf to Synthos because freaking it was too strong. Damage bonus is still decreased against players who are using Lightning Surge. Understandable. Wishful Ignorance. Maximum PvE Frenzy Blade damage bonus increased from 100% to 200%. Maximum PvE Flechette Storm melee damage bonus increased from 50% to 200%. That's that new exotic they added, right? Wishful Ignorance. Is this it right here? I had it on me. It is. Okay, so this is the one that gives you additional Frenzy Blade, and if you have on Banner of War, it returns energy depending on the allies you with. It's actually pretty solid. It's pretty solid. Okay, Worm God Crest. Maximum PvE melee damage bonus increased from 275 to 400%. Increased melee bonus no longer decreased when using Roaring Flames or Glaive melee. Now the question that I'm having here is, I'm assuming because it's considered melee damage now, can Glaive melee build up Worm God Caress? That could be a solid move. I ain't gonna lie to you, because Synthos might not be the move. You got a 160% 65 damage bonus, but you gotta have 3 people around when you could just bat people with the glaive and then get 400% damage bonus. That stays there and falls away slowly instead of just instantly going away after 6 seconds after you move away from 3 people. So Winter's Guile. PvE melee damage bonus increased from 275% to 400%. I'm sorry, that was a water bottle. Weapon changes. All right, let's see. Close to melee perk. PvE glaive melee damage increased from 30 to 60%. 1-2 punch. PvE melee damage increased from 100 to 150%. Now works with all melee abilities. Melee damage bonus is no longer decreased when using Liar's Handshake. Increase the time the perk is active to 3 seconds. Okay, boys and girls, if y'all have not gone into Prophecy Rite of the Nine, go ahead and get you one of these shotguns, because we got some solid shotguns in meta right now. We got Sudden Death with Trench Barrel, 1-2 punch, solid. Go to the freaking Season of the Echo section, get you a Perfect Paradox, Trench Barrel dual loader. I got another one with Pugilist and 1-2 punch. There are some solid 1-2 punch shotguns in the meta right now. Sudden Death, Perfect Paradox, some good ones. Look for some new ones on MyGG. Exotic weapons, Bastion, Saint Fist melee damage bonus, increased from 100 to 300%. I forgot it had that. Now it works with all melee abilities. Increase the time it's active to 3 seconds. Monte Carlo melee attacks no longer dealing reduced damage against bosses, mini bosses, and champions. That's perfect. Winter Bite now receives melee bonus damage from a variety of sources, reducing enhanced melee with ammo to 20% for bosses down to 50%. That's fine. Exotic armor tuning preview. We mentioned a bunch of exotic pieces in the previous section, so it felt neutral to go over the exotics that are changing with the Edge of Fate. Many buffs and reworks here and there, and just a few minor nerfs to keep things from balancing interesting. The Dragon Shadow, and it has felt weird for how similar Dragon Shadow and Speedloader stacks are in their effects, absolutely, with both centered around dodging to get their stats. To alleviate some of this weirdness, the Dragon Shadow has gained many of these stats and had its perk updated to fit better with the new suit of player stats. Okay, so Speedloader stacks is getting a rework. Dragon Shadow now passively increases weapon stability and ready speed. Dodging reloads your equipped weapon, no longer reloads hosted weapons. Activating your dodge ability grants the following effects for a short time: increased stability and handling, move speed, speed slide, sprint, slide, and ADF straight speed, and increase the class stat. So you might actually have something you want to use over you jumping hippity hotter hunters with freaking stompies. Wow, I actually like Speedloader stacks though. So at least I can use Dragon Shadow. Now give us an ornament. I think Dragon Shadow is like one of the last exotics in the game that does not have an ornament. Speedloader slacks. With these bonuses given away, we took more of a PvE orientated option with Speedloader slacks, allowing hunters to be able to provide a benefit akin to Lunafaction boots to their allies and to be able to carry around during higher end content. Speedloader slacks adjusted the tight fit perk. Dodging reloads all weapons and grants increased handling and reload for your nearby allies. While this buff is active, additional dodge increases the strength of the buff and refreshes the timer. Dealing sustained damage increases class ability energy. This is solid, but I don't think anyone's gonna use this. This is cool, solid idea, but I don't think anyone's gonna use this because once again, what do we say in damage phases? Do not move in the well. Don't move in the well. If I got to deal with another hippity hotter hunter dodging in the well and I blow myself up with a rocket, I'm gonna be mad. Mask of Bacchus has always been an evocative and visually fun exotic, but largely is used as a PvP tool. We've made some changes to let you play into the Fallen Captain fantasy even more so in PvE, while also pairing well with new stats, and is also now usable on arc subclasses and supers. Mask of Bacchus effects are now active when either on Arc or Stasis Super is equipped. Reworked Light Shift no longer provides a non-stacking surge damage bonus. Now grants 10% damage for eligible weapons, Stasis weapons, and Arc weapons, and Lord of Wolves. That's new. I mean, not new, but I didn't know they did that. That's crazy. Per stack. I mean, I guess so because captains use Lord of Wolves. Stacks up to 3 times, while active weapon final blows grant class ability energy. Solid. Khepri Sting. Khepri Sting has been a fairly niche PvP exotic for some time, so we wanted to rework it to something that's a bit more broadly useful and with more build crafting hooks. Khepri Sting. Remove the automatic smoke bomb activation when using a melee attack, remove true sight when dealing damage with smoke bomb, add a killing weaken triangle creates a burst of weakening smoke and returns smoke bomb energy. That could be actually pretty solid with the new hunter aspect that got added this season. Oathkeepers have not been quite worth the time and investment to overdraw for damage bonus, so we've tuned that a bit for a better ease of use and higher potential payout of damage. Increased maximum damage from 150 to 200 now provides more total damage bonus earlier in the overdraw. Light Ranger, oh god, it's finally getting a buff, another one. Blight Rangers had a rough time with the previous balance changes failing to hit the mark. Despite that, we believe that its most recent rework established a playstyle that fits the fantasy of the exotic. However, its cancellation effect still doesn't feel worth the investment, especially due to the challenging bug with how damage is scaled. So we've given it a bit of extra juice, actually a lot of extra juice. Fixed an issue where the cancellation was not consistently scaling based on the voltaic mirror progress. Adjusted voltaic meter behavior now requires 25% less reflections to reach maximum, fills more evenly, blocked melee attacks now count as a reflection, maximum cancellation damage increased by 50%. This is in addition to the fix above. Someone's mowing their lawn outside. If you guys hear it, I'm sorry. Minimum cancellation damage increased by 150%, now always applies blind before dealing damage. Updated visuals, audios, and timing of blinding shockwaves to better reflect impact. Cross is literally aping. I can't wait to watch this video. I know this man is screaming up and down because he's been wanting Blight Ranger to be meta for so long. Titan, Crest of Alpha Lupi. Okay, let's see what they do with this. So I actually used to use Crest for a while. Over the past year, we've seen a lot of love when it comes to the new addition of things like support frame autos. With the Edge of Fate, we took a look at some of the clearly supported oriented exotics that aren't as popular to give them a leg in the modern sandbox standards. Starting with Crest of Alpha Lupi, we wanted to keep the subclass agnostic while letting it feel like the one-stop shop for support that Titan fantasy. Crest of Alpha Lupi. Sustained damage while behind the barricade triggers another small healing pulse. Healing your allies grants barricade energy. Oh, okay. I can see this. I can see you on Titan with the freaking arc aspect. You yeet with Curious, land back down, swap to Crest of Alpha Lupi in the well. Okay, I like it. Healing your allies grant barricade energy. Phoenix Cradle. The next clear option was Phoenix Cradle. There's a lot of ways to generate sunspots, but it's always felt like you couldn't create them more when you wanted to maximize the effects of Phoenix Cradle. So we tackled that while also hitting a very common piece of feedback when it comes to Cradle-enabled sunspot visuals. Phoenix Cradle updated the VXS on sunspots while the user has Phoenix Cradle to look more clearly supportive to allies. I need to see what this looks like. Additional effects. Dealing sustained solar weapon damage in a sunspot extends duration. Providing solar buffs to allies has a chance to create a sunspot at your feet. Now the question is, this is cool and all, but did y'all ever have people actually step in your sunspots without telling them? That's the thing. I just don't think people are gonna do it, but we'll see. We'll see how clearly supportive they look. MK44 stand asides. A stand aside and ironically left in the dust. This exotic lost its role with the introduction of Juggernaut, and changes that made the melee refund less valuable. We removed the melee energy refund shoulder charge and hit the overshield while sprinting. These were replaced by more arc-centric perks that turn you and your allies into unstoppable force. 44 stand asides. Sprinting with Juggernaut active periodically grants you a stack of static charge. Sprinting while amplified creates an area behind you that grant allies speed booster. This is gonna be niche. I could see Titans using this in freaking speed runs, but that's about it. Path of Burning Steps. We like how Path of Burning Steps played in Season of the Wish before the previous changes to the exotic. To return it to its glory days, gleefully frolicking with Polaris Lance, we've added back some bonus damage by tying it to Roaring Flames. Let's go! Increase the solar weapon damage and solar ignition damage based on the number of stacks of Roaring Flames you have. Roaring Flames X1, 2, 3 grants 10, 15, and 20% bonus solar damage and 5, 10, 15% bonus ignition damage. Stacked with surge mods. Reduces the duration of suspend, slow, and freeze effects while applied to you. This is great. Now go back and unnerve Consecration only on solar, please. Because now we have an actual want to actually use Consecration on solar, because it sucks. And then you nerfed it alone. You nerfed it on Prismatic and solar, and now it's just trash on solar and still really going to Prismatic. Please fix it. Obeying Leap remains potent choice, but we wanted to add a small nudge in efficiency that won't overtune the whole suspend kit. Now increase the duration of suspend applied by enhanced Drager's Lash. Okay, so increase the duration of suspend. Actium Warwig. Good lord, these are a lot of changes. We need at the bottom of the top here. Good lord, this is gonna be a long one. Actium Warwig. These changes to Actium Warwig go along with all the new weapon stats, giving you the option of build crafting your loadout around the exotic to keep its new kill streak bonus rolling. Think Worm God Crest for auto rifles and machine guns. Worm God Caress? Actium Wargrig. Auto rifle and machine gun final blows increase their stability, ammo regeneration, and damage. Stacked up to 10 times. Higher stack counts expire more quickly. Okay, let's see how it works. Spirit of Alpha Lupi. Spirit of Alpha Lupi is also going to be inheriting one of the above changes, Crest of Alpha Lupi. Healing your allies grants class ability energy. So it doesn't get the freaking, I mean, I guess so. I mean, no one was really using the Spirit of Alpha Lupi anyway, so. Starfire Protocol. Empowering as it's been written on Starfire Protocol has always felt confusing. With the new world of stats, we figured it was high time to clear up this confusion and give this exotic a well-deserved boost. Excuse me. Now also activates on radiant damage. Increase the fusion grenade energy gain from dealing damage from 2.5 to 5%. Reduce the fusion grenade energy gain final blows from 20 to 15%. Understandable. Maybe Starfire Protocol could be back. I don't think we're ever going to get back to season of I forgot what the season was. But anyway, y'all remember how freaking strong Starfire Protocol was during the freaking Kaido season? Good Season of the Haunted. Good lord, it was strong. Then you had Classy Resto too. Woo! Wings of Sacred Dawn. With the release of the other items in the game, such as Manicore SMG, we've seen some gripes when it comes to the exotics that ask a player to survive while airborne. So to give this some help to some Wings of Sacred Dawn, we've taken a look at just that. Wings of Sacred Dawn. Combatants are less accurate towards you while the Tone of Dawn is active. This is similar to the Manicore effect. While Solar Super is equipped, Solar Weapon Final Blows now grant restoration and reload your stowed weapons. It's pretty solid. Now the question is, does this stack with Manicore? Do I get even more? Do they get even more or less accurate? Be possible. That would be cool if it is. But actually no, because it's not gonna be solar, so you're not gonna get the full benefit because Manicore is void. Fellwinter's Helm. For many exotic, it has been hard to keep up with the difficulty and progression of activities, oftentimes leading to them being great and on power and lower, but content. Great and on power or lower content, but extremely feast or famine and high difficulty activities. For weapons, we can usually help remedy this by sustained damage effects, and in case of the armor like Fellwinter's, an equivalent on hit. Added power melee damage and weakens targets. Applies a 15% weaken. Weaken effects applied by the burst of via melee or finisher blows are unchanged. So you could definitely use this with like threaded needle. It could be pretty solid. Prometheum Spur. Good lord, I forgot about this exotic. I think I just deleted it earlier. In the words of so many Rift exotics, it has always been hard to make a combo Rift feel truly good for how many hoops it makes is actually to jump through. So with this pass, we've looked at the alternative approach to the combo Rift that will also let players hook into other atoms on Solar subclass to allow more versatile benefits. I'm sorry about the lawnmower, I can't do anything about it. Promethean Spurs. We reworked the perk of Embers of Light. While Solar Super is equipped, weapon defeats grant class ability energy, and weapon defeats and Rift grant a different Solar verb depending on the Rift. While in Healing Rift, weapon defeat creates a pulse that grants radiant to you and nearby allies, while in an Empowering Rift, weapon defeats instead grant cure to you and your nearby allies. That's pretty cool. Okay, it's pretty solid. Boots of the Assembler. Currently, Speaker's Sight largely outclass Boots of the Assembler. Speaker's Sight is similarly potent to healing allies, produce orbs of power for your build. It doesn't require you to stand in the Rift to get benefits. Plus, Boots of the Assembler, Noble Seekers are just not that smart. Yep. So we sent them to college, and now they target allies more reliably, spreading their healing out much more effectively, and gives a more flexible benefit when they find an ally. Boost of the Assembler. No longer spawns in waves and instead spawns at a constant rate based on your fire team size. Average number of Noble Seekers produced per 8 seconds is unchanged and is produced 1 per ally in that time period. Noble Seekers tracking range change from 40 meters or change to 40 meters always. Noble Seekers will prioritize who have not been healed in the last 8 seconds. Noble Seekers can now target allies standing in the rift producing them. Noble Seekers will not target an ally more than once every 4 seconds. Noble Seekers will not detonate when passing near an ally they're not targeting. They will still detonate if they make direct impact with an ally they are not targeting. No longer grants extended rift duration or Noble Seeker impact with allies, instead grants class ability energy to Noble Seeker impact with allies. Okay, so you get class ability for impacting them with Noble Seeker. That's great. Geomags. No! We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. Geomag ran this season. We enjoyed watching players shoot out beams of concentrated arc energy just as much as you did generating them. But with the launch of Edge of Fate, we are limiting some of the ultimate unlimited power. To compensate, we took a pass at retuning it for sprinting bolt charge. Sprinting for bolt charge. Geomags, reduce the super energy granted from ionic traces from 4 to 7%. Retune the sprinting on top of bolt charge. Decrease bolt charge stack required for sprinting with. Okay, so decrease the bolt charge stacks required before sprinting will grant additional stacks from 6 to 5. So you'll start granting stacks at 5 stacks to 6. Decrease the amount of time required for sprinting to start granting bolt charge from 2 seconds to 1 second. Solid. Increase the rate bolt charge is granted while this effect is active on every 1.5 seconds to 0.33 seconds. Good lord, you better load up quick. Okay, so we knew this was coming. Geomax is dummy hot this season. Dummy hot, and it's still gonna be even better next season. 4% is not bad. We only lost like what, 3%? So you might need an extra 3 more ionic traces to get it rolling. That's still good. And then that's even more chance for you to use full power on the exotic that I can't remember the name of right now that I just used just yesterday. Deadly Tomb. And with that, this twit is over. Hope you found all those changes coming to your melee builds and exotic armor pieces interesting. We are pretty sure some of you have already started theorizing about the new builds and combos that will be the most fun to play with when Edge of Fate launches. Let us know what you guys let us know. Freak it. That's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed this so far. Let me know what you guys are looking for in the comments below. Are you excited for these builds? Are you excited for the melee changes? BONK Titan could potentially be back. Path of Burning Steps with Vex Mythoclast could potentially be back, even though it's probably pretty solid this season. It's just the fact that there's other builds to use, because Path of Burning Steps with Vex Mythoclast and Particle Accelerator, it was already solid last time it was around. It's just we've gotten stronger than just shooting enemies now. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. Are you excited about the changes? Did one of your exotics get nerfed? Are you a Titan really looking forward to be able to do the big melee damage? Because they didn't state it, but this melee buff is a distinct buff to Titan because all we have is melee ability. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay spooky. Peace.